So hello everyone, this is Abdaal Meer and this is gonna be the second video of our 30 days English learning series. Make sure you watch the first video because that is pretty much important. I have discussed some important points about English language in that video. So let's start today's video without any delay. As all of you know that if you have to make a building, if you have to make a construction, if you have to construct something, you need some material for it. But first we need to understand what kind of material do we need to construct a sentence in English language. In a sentence, there are three main things which we need to understand. The first one is subject, second one is object, and the third one is verb, right? There is another part which is called as predicate. Most of the people discuss it a lot, but we will skip it. That's not that that important, right? So subject, object, and verb. We will take a simple example to understand it. Let's take an example. Rohan plays cricket. Rohan plays cricket. In this sentence, if we look at its meaning, it means Rohan cricket khelta hai. I have to tell a meaning in any other language because I have no choice, right? Rohan plays cricket. So in this sentence, Rohan cricket khelta hai. So here, who plays cricket? Of course, Rohan plays cricket. So here, who is doing the work or who is involved in the work? Rohan is involved in the work. So here, Rohan becomes the subject. Right now, what Rohan does? Rohan plays. So whatever is Rohan doing becomes the action, right? So here action becomes the verb. So here whatever Rohan is doing is the verb. So whichever word is telling us what Rohan is doing becomes the verb itself for Rohan, right? Yeah. So the next thing is object. So Rohan plays cricket. So Rohan plays what? Cricket. So cricket becomes the object for Rohan. Rohan is the player. Rohan is playing. So Rohan becomes subject. And Rohan plays with what? He plays with cricket. He plays the cricket game, right? So he plays cricket. It means it becomes the object. And Rohan, what does Rohan do with the cricket? He plays it. It means plays becomes the verb, right? So this is the first and the most important part of today's lecture, and you need to understand it. If you haven't understood it, you need to go some 2 or 3 minutes back to watch it again so that you understand it completely. Now let's move to the next part of our lecture, and now we are gonna learn about parts of speech. Parts of speech, of course, are very important, and I am gonna give you an elementary idea of all the parts of speech. We are not gonna dig into deep, right? So let's start from nouns. So nouns are what? You would have heard about it. You have been studying about them since your childhood. So of course I'm not gonna dig into deep, right? So nouns are the names of persons, places, or things. So there are a lot of things which have surrounded you. So all those things should have a name, and they would definitely have a name, and that name becomes a noun for them, right? Nouns have got so many types, but I will tell you only one. Why? Because that is important, and we will discuss only important things and only those things throughout this 30 days series which are important for our learning process, right? So that type of noun is abstract noun. So what is abstract noun? It's a type of a noun whose concrete form doesn't exist. It exists in an abstract form, or you can say it's a feeling which can be felt only and can't be seen. Take example, a pain. You have a pain, you got an injury, you got a bruise, and now it's paining, it's groaning, right? So it is a feeling. You can't even touch it, you can't even see it, right? So this will be called as abstract. The name of it will be called as abstract noun, right? Yeah. So similarly, we have the feeling of happiness, the feeling of sorrow. The thinking process, it also comes under the category of abstract nouns. So this brings us to the end of the nouns. You might be thinking, sir, is this enough for us to speak English? Of course, it would help you, and is definitely enough, sufficient for you for the language, for this learning process, right? So let's move to the second part of speech, and that is pronoun. And of course, it's pretty much important. Pronoun is what? It's actually a word which is used in place of a noun, or it replaces a noun, or it acts as a substitute of a noun, right? You can use it in place of a noun. So how and why do we require it to be used? Let's see. Actually, let's take an example first to understand it deeply, to understand it fully. We have an example. Rohan is a boy. Okay, so I have started a paragraph by saying Rohan is a boy. So in this sentence, who is the subject whom we are talking about? We are talking about Rohan, so he becomes the subject for us. So I mentioned his name in the first sentence. I can mention his name in the second sentence as well. I can say Rohan is a boy. He, Rohan goes to school. Rohan eats food. So repeating the noun doesn't sound good, right? So we need to replace the noun in the second sentence. But you cannot use pronoun in the first sentence you have said, because if you say he is a boy, the audiences or whom you are talking about would think, sir, whom you are talking about? Who is he here? So you need to mention the name of that person first. Then you can replace his name in the second sentence with pronoun, right? Okay, so this is why we need to make use of pronouns, because it becomes boring if we use the noun, the same noun repeatedly in a paragraph or in our speech, right? Okay, now let's start to understand the types of pronouns. Of course, pronouns have types, and it's not like nouns. We are not gonna stick to only one type of pronoun. We have to go through all the types of pronouns because we have to do a lot of work with them, right? Okay, so pronouns have been categorized into subjective pronoun, objective pronoun, possessive pronoun, reflexive pronoun, interrogative pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, right? So these are the types of pronouns. If I have missed anyone, you let me know in the comment section, because I have told you in the previous video that I do not make any kind of script for my videos I make, right? Okay, so let's first discuss what is subjective pronoun. I'm gonna give you an elementary idea of all these types of pronouns. We are not gonna dig into deep, as I have mentioned earlier, right? So subjective pronoun is the pronoun which is used in place of a subject, right? If Rohan is playing cricket, he is a boy. Rohan is playing cricket, he is a boy. So here he is subject. It is used in place of a subject. It becomes a subject, right? Okay, so this is what we call subjective pronoun. Here he becomes the subject, right? You don't have to get confused which one is subjective pronoun, which one is objective pronoun. Okay, you don't have to fall into discussion, right? So simply I will give you a list of the pronouns. You have to memorize them. You have to memorize their meanings. I will give you the meanings of them in Urdu language or in Hindi language. You will memorize them, and then it will be easy for you to make use of them in your sentences, right? As the video has already become large, so I don't want to drag it anymore. I hope you are enjoying this series. If you have any doubt, you can put that in the comment section below, and if you have any suggestions, you can put them there too. So let's meet in next video. Till then, you take care. Fi amanillah.